To his clients, he's the greatest.
What is it they call you? Mr. Rock and Roll Detective?
To everyone else, he's just a dick.
I'm sorry that I made you clean the toilets and the bathtubs. I mean, who did all the work in bed?
Andrew Dice Clay is Ford Fairlane.
Does that excite you?
Oh, that. Don't take it personal. Roseanne born naked. Gone.
Got women to the right of me. Got women to the left of me. I got chicks all around me.
Ford Fairlane, featuring Priscilla Presley, Sheila E., Ed O'Neill, Robert Englund, Tone Loc, and Wayne Newton. Yes, Wayne Newton.
I dedicated my life to making sure that this industry is so disgusting that we'd have to self-destruct. I even spit in the punch bowl.
We're dealing with a very sick puppy here.
But I ain't got you.
Ford Fairlane. He came from Brooklyn to save the world.
Top of the world, Ma!
That's rock and roll, eh?
The Adventures of Ford Fairlane start June 8th at theaters everywhere. Andrew Dice Clay is Ford Fairlane.
Does that excite you?
Oh, that. Don't take it personal. Roseanne born naked. Gone.
Hello and welcome to the Super 70 Podcast, episode 38, Ford Fairlane. I will be using the secondhand DVD I found in the clearance bin of my local half-priced books from the early 2000s. I know it's from that era because it has the full screen on one side and the widescreen on the other. If you press play on the DVD now, this podcast should sync with the rest of the film. 20th Century Fox logo. Andrew Clay Silverstein is a comedian from Brooklyn, New York, who got his big break on Rodney Dangerfield's 1988 HBO special, and soon thereafter was playing arenas. In 1988, his comedy album, The Diceman Cometh, went gold, and following a live set on SNL, he was banned from, MTV, he was banned from that network. His next album, The Day the Laughter Died, went gold in 7 weeks and eventually went platinum. He then hosted the most controversial episode of SNL ever, which led to a boycott and a huge controversy. Late 1990 saw the release of this film, earning the infamous Golden Raspberry for the worst film of the year and Clay for the worst actor of the year. And joining me to discuss this travesty of cinema once again is Paul Emig and Warren Hayes. I want to start with Paul. When was the first time you saw The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, and what did you think?
All right, so it came out in 1990. I would have been 13, too young to buy a ticket to an R-rated movie, so would have had to wait for the VHS release in that fall. But, man, I was the target audience for this. I already loved Andrew Dice Clay coming in, so I was excited when this came out.
All right, Warren?
I was 14 in 1990. I think this came out in the summer, if I'm not
mistaken. I think it had a July release.
And I did see it in the theater, and I don't know, there's always been something about it that, as bad as the film is considered, I've always had a good time watching it. So,
well, you said that you've seen this probably over 100 times.
Yeah, easy.
I saw this. Well, I was not a fan of Dice in his whole career and the whole controversy, and we can get into that later. But I didn't see it in the theater. I watched it on HBO, and that was the last time I'd seen it until a couple weeks ago. I remember, Paul, the last time we got together,
yeah.
Our next film needs to be Ford Fairlane.
Yeah.
And I thought that will go perfect with the films that we have done thus far, because the three of us have not done a movie that I've liked. So the hate cast streak continues.
It does.
But we don't have to like movies to cover them on the Super 70 podcast.
That's true. And I think all of these movies that we've done have been seminal movies of our, kind of adolescence. And so, no matter how well this is aged or has not aged, it was an important film, I think, developmentally for me. And so I'm happy that we're talking about it. And it does kind of fit the theme of some of the other things we've talked about in that thing.
I think that it was seminal for a lot of kids. I just don't think that it does. Clearly, it doesn't have the staying power.
No.
But at the time, people kind of forget this. Dice Clay was packing arenas.
Yeah.
He packed Madison Square Gardens for 2 nights and sold out 38,000 people. Like, the Knicks back then probably couldn't do that.
Right, right.
That was a struggle. So we can't forget the impact. So, Warren, you're going to get this all throughout this film. I'm going to point to the screen and I'm going to say, where was that?
So I'll do my best.
When they were at the beach, that was Malibu, right?
Yes.
Well, this is Red Rocks in Colorado.
This is Red Rocks,
Colorado,
that's right,
yeah.
Which really confused me when I popped this in the other night. I was like, why is this taking place in Denver? But, I mean, technically it's not Denver. We all know it's in the foothills. Okay, don't everybody calm down on the Front Range. And I was really surprised to see the unbelievably stacked cast this had.
Yes.
This was crazy stacked. Right. And the idea that people wanted to be in this film with this controversial character. This is 1990. He had been on a tear since early 1988 when the special hit. When they had the Diceman Cometh, and what was the second one?
I know, no apologies, but I think that came later. That was the pay-per-view special a
right.
couple years later. So was it The Day the Laughter Died?
The Day the Laughter Died was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that in itself was a takeoff on a movie that Jerry Lewis had shot that he never released, called The Day the Laughter Cried.
Which, when I was reading a little bit more about kind of Andrew Dice Clay and how he developed the character, the Dice Man. It was apparently very much a combination of Jerry Lewis's Nutty Professor that kind of morphed into John Travolta from Grease.
Well, that makes complete sense to see that Jerry Lewis type in it. Of course, Dice Clay's last name is Silverstein. He's Jewish. Jerry Lewis is Jewish. There's
very
a lot
much
of Jewish heritage in it, right?
Comedian coming up, and that's the circuit he started at. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and being from Brooklyn, probably from the Crown Heights near side, where there's a huge Jewish community there.
Right.
And we also have to admit this, that Dice is a alter ego.
Correct.
It's not Andrew Silverstein. He is a persona created for the purpose of the comedic act or the film in this case. And that's no different than Charlie Chaplin or any historical figure, actually. Like when we saw Napoleon last year, I mean, that's a caricature of the historical figure. That's not, sure. It's a stand-in. It's not real. And it feels stupid to say that, but people got really emotional about his material.
Yeah.
And they got really emotional about this film. They got really angry at Hollywood and at Fox Studios specifically. Like, why are you giving this guy air to breathe? This is crazy. And when actors signed up to do this, like, it sort of made sense for Gilbert Gottfried to be in this, right?
Right.
But Priscilla Presley,
her only film outside Naked
Gun, right? Yeah. Or Lauren Hawley, like this. A lot of people were, they felt betrayed by womanhood and femininity and all that. And of course, Jan Hooks, who boycotted the SNL episode.
Nora Dunn. Jan Hooks made a stink mid-episode, but Nora Dunn actually didn't show up. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, just hot topics.
Because no one's done that on SNL in the 50 years since. He was the only host that caused people to say, nope, not going to show up to work.
Right. Now, even Sinead O'Connor got pissed off about it. Like, she wasn't even on the show for, I think, another few years.
But regardless of that, this ruggedly handsome man, and who is this other very handsome man on the side that he's talking to in this clip?
Morris Day. Without the time.
Yeah.
There's no time in this. And why is there no time in this? Does anybody know?
No.
Because Morris Day does not own the time.
Oh.
Prince does.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
And Prince would not allow the time to go anywhere without his say-so.
Gotcha.
And he wasn't seeing a piece of this pie, so he wasn't going to let the time show up.
You got, was it Carrie Wurr? I think
yes.
MTV VJ.
Yeah, and future Playmate.
Yep.
And that was another hot take. It was I had to look her up. I was like, she looks so familiar.
Yeah.
Kind of looked like Kathy Ireland. Not that shot so familiar, but there's a lot of oogling in this, a lot of male view, a lot of male gaze.
A lot, yeah.
Yep.
A lot of piggish behavior going on, and not in a Brian De Palma type art house way. Just a very in your face.
We just missed Sheila E. right there.
Yep.
Sheila E., another Prince in the Revolution,
right?
Twin Cities, Minnesota alumni there.
Yep.
The milkshake that's on fire becomes a huge plot point later,
Right.
or I should say a plot device later. And you got this hip young club and this old guy behind the bar, which made no sense at all. And there's a lot of things in this film that actually make no sense at all. But
a lot, yeah.
We're not going to try not to focus on that.
Well, I think you have the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie. Most of the dialogue is lifted from some of his concerts. It's kind of a greatest hits collection of punchlines from the Diceman Cometh and some of his other stand-up.
Well, this is my first exposure to him in this movie.
Really?
Right. I hadn't seen any of that stuff until after this.
No kidding.
Right.
I saw him on the when I was a kid. The Rodney Dangerfield was the Valhalla of comedy, and they had a show on HBO every year, the Rodney Dangerfield Young Comedian Special, and that morphed over the years. And that's where I first saw Bob Saget, Jerry Seinfeld, and Sam Kinison.
Right,
all those guys popped up. So I had seen him on that show, and I had seen the Diceman Cometh, and I just remember saying to myself, I can't believe I'm sitting through this. At that age, which I think I was 14, 13, I didn't know what misogyny was.
Yeah.
I didn't know what jingoism was. I didn't know patriarchy or any of those terms. I just knew it just felt and sounded wrong.
It did, and yet it sounded so appealing. It sounded so grown up and so cool. And, hearing, I think I was 12 when I saw the Diceman come. I'm a 12-year-old virgin. I don't know what any of this stuff means, but it sounds cool, and people are laughing, and it felt grown up. And I think that's where the appeal came for me. So I watched as much as I could find on Andrew Dice Clay, which at the time was not much because you're limited to what you can find at your local video store, or if maybe HBO had something. And stand-up comedy was huge back then. I mean, some of these specials, these HBO specials, would have huge ratings on HBO, huge life on VHS at the video store, and there weren't that many of them. There were only about like 2 dozen, and then maybe a couple of comic relief concerts. So you were happy with what you could find.
By the way, now's a good time to introduce David Patrick Kelly, who played the pervert in that previous scene. A fantastic actor. When he pops up, everyone's like, I know that guy.
Yeah. Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks. Like exactly. And I remember him from Dreamscape with Dennis Quaid.
Oh, wow.
When Eddie Albert played the president.
Okay. This is a horrible scene. First, we're going to put like every 80s cliche in one place at one time, and Rennie Harland, who's probably I distinguish the art from the person.
And I think, Paul, you and I talked about this before.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against Tim Burton.
Mm-hmm.
Warren, you and I definitely talked about this.
Yes.
I just don't like his movies. His streak with me is like 1 in 25. And Rennie Harland is the same route. I love Die Hard 2.
Mm-hmm.
I might be the only person who loves Die Hard 2. Like, that sequel gets a lot of static.
It does, yeah.
Right? And then after that, I cannot. I've looked at his filmography. I've tried to get through The Long Kiss Goodnight, which I think is his film with his wife, Gina Davis. And I couldn't do it. I could not get through it. Samuel L. Jackson is in it. You have every reason in the world to watch this movie, and it was hard just to make 15 minutes. I don't think that he's a very good director, and I think this film proves what I'm saying. But like you were saying, Paul, before about the structure in this film is different. Like there's the first half hour, which is let's meet Clay.
It's a star vehicle, right? This is, very very much grab a character, grab an actor while he's hot, and showcase him, and then it turns into every other average '90s action comedy, of which Rennie Harland probably directed 3 or 4.
Yeah.
It's pretty consistent with that.
All right, Warren, you got to tell us about this kid. I'm dying to know.
So this is Brandon Call. He pretty much got famous from doing that show Step by Step.
Okay.
Patrick Duffy, Suzanne Summers.
Yes.
He did get in some legal trouble in the middle of that show, in between seasons, but I think he got out of it. But then I kind of looked at his filmography, and he really did nothing after that. This kid I lived in Torrance, California. He was born in Torrance, California. I actually met him many times. He's an arch nemesis of mine. Because I don't know if this is the same for you two, but Street Fighter 2 was a huge game where kids were ditching school to play, and it was really hard to find until it became everywhere. Well, this kid, we would go to this little arcade that was by the beach, and he'd always be there smoking cigarettes, playing the video game with an attitude. And there's like cheat moves that you can do in the game, and so it causes like actual confrontations with people. People would be that upset over this video game. So him and I had gone into it. We hadn't physically fought, but it came close several times. He was just a jerk off. I mean, he thought he was bigger than anything because he was this movie star and he had been in these movies. And so I met him after this film. It was probably about 91 that I met him. And I mean, at his age, he's a year younger than me. So he was, smoking as a teenager and, nonstop. It just annoyed the hell out of me. But
in an arcade,
in
a mall,
in a mall too. I think I've seen him at our mall too. But, so yeah, we had several altercations. He wouldn't do anything. He would just have this kind of like this attitude about him all the time. And, I was looking for a fight that never happened, but it did come close a few times.
Have you seen the documentary, The King of Kong?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, sounds like we're heading into that territory. Yeah. Great doc. Okay, so the wonderful Lauren Holly, who I hope she didn't cut her hair for this, but it did kind of bring in like Annie Potts vibes.
Sure,
Ghostbusters.
That
the short hair, pixie cut, or whatever.
And we just had a cameo from Tone Loc.
Right.
Yes. I was really surprised to see it was his name in the credits.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing one of the charms that the film has is the opening credit sequence has a sort of, it's got the chrome plate lettering that it's using as the font for the cast and crew.
Right.
And that's the same chrome plate lettering that you see on the side of classic cars.
Right.
And classic cars, particularly from 55 to say 65, that lettering has been used in a lot of rock and roll memorabilia. The Rickenbacker uses on their guitars, for example. That font is called Magneto, and I don't know who created it or who named it or whatever, but that font is now infamous. When you see that font, you know what you're looking at. And of course, Ford Fairlane is a car from that time period. And they did this deliberately. Of course, it could be called Rock and Roll Detective, Ford Fairlane, the Rock and Roll Detective, because he refers to himself several times in the film, right? And I thought that we were heading into a kind of reinvention of film noir, like a neo-noir type of film, and that is not what this is.
No, it has some influences. It kind of toys with homages to different detective movies, but yeah, never really goes noir.
Right.
Wrong film. Somebody please explain to me
what the koala is doing here and what it represents. The koala has to mean something, right?
I think it's just kind of a funny sight gag. Of course, I think the premise here is a rock and roll detective is not really a real detective. He doesn't get paid in cash. He gets paid in gifts.
Right, so in excess gifts to him, and they're Australian. So
in lieu of payment,
right?
Oh, that's
he gets a koala.
Right. He can't pay his bills, but his office is where?
Now I can't think of the name of it, but it's the center of the world. Now I've been by that building a million times.
It's an expensive part of town. This is not. This is not like his office is not in Compton.
No.
Right.
So
it's an interesting building. Has a little tower that says the center of the world. I can't believe I can't think of the name of it, but
no, but it's something like that. It's the World Conference Center or something like of that nature. Yeah. And it's not a cheap place. So rule one, maybe not have your office in this area that's really expensive for you to pay for.
Exactly.
Right.
Don't get paid with koalas.
That's right.
Don't be smoking Marlboros, which are the most expensive premium cigarettes.
Even I knew that at the age of 15. He's got the roach killer boots, the pointed toes.
Right.
And the mannerisms just
annoy the living hell out of me. And then, the cranking of the neck.
Yeah.
And
It's
spitting the smoke out.
It's awful. Yeah. Even the way he smokes is performative. And, and in preparing for this podcast, I watched this movie first and then I watched some of the stand up. And I think it's less annoying when it's kind of that rapid fire delivery. as part of a stand-up routine. But slowing it down to kind of put dialogue in a movie between makes it just ridiculous. You're watching this and you're like, what? Yeah, some of these choices. He kind of will even go into like almost like a Steve Urkel kind of Jerry Lewis squeal at different times, and it's just kind of baffling to me.
Well, it's the format of the delivery.
Yeah.
Right. So the only good joke I think I saw in this film was, he rapid fire having that conversation with Priscilla Presley. Stanley, who's Stanley? And he says, like the power drill. Yeah, and he's referring to his penis. So
Right.
the setup is rapid fire, and then the delivery, he slows everything down and draws it out.
Right.
And in a stand-up, he was infamous for that.
Mm-hmm.
And who can say that that's wrong, considering he was selling out arenas?
Oh, yeah.
Like George Carlin was not selling out arenas.
No, he wasn't.
Lenny Bruce was not selling out arenas. And I don't think there was another comedian until Dane Cook was hot for about 18 months, and he was doing that.
Robin
regularly.
Williams could have.
Robin Williams, yeah.
Maybe Richard Pryor. Maybe Eddie Murphy. Maybe.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy did that twice for Delirious and for Raw.
Yeah.
Well, that was at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion. That is not a small joint.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Andrew Dice Clay, if you've kind of not seen a lot of his stand-up, or even his delivery, I think he was kind of right on the coattails of Sam Kinison.
Right.
Of that kind of, angry shouting guy. I think he kind of fit into that type of, material's not great, but the performance is kind of what people come for and what people remember and participate. And then a little bit of the men behaving badly, that this is kind of maybe a bridge to Dennis Leary, who I thought was a much better performer, had much better material, but might not have had the fame without Diceman blazing the trail for him.
Well, there's a certain element of outrage in this film and from Dice Clay that he cashes in on, which,
Sure.
And outrage sells tickets.
Sure.
And Sam Kinison, I thought when I was growing up, when I first saw him I'm serious, like 6 or 7 years old, and on Rodney Dangerfield, and he was talking about starving kids in Africa and take them luggage. Don't give them money or food. Give them luggage to get the hell out of the desert. I thought that was hysterical. I was dying. It was only later when I was growing up and looking back on it, we was talking about, drunk driving is a fun pastime and all that. I just thought, Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
like it's really. But I didn't make any value judgments of him as a person.
Sure,
really. And it's the same with Dennis Leary. Dennis Leary was the cancer thing. Like there are.
No Cure for Cancer is a great special.
Right.
Great album.
Lock and Load, which is his second one. Both of those went platinum. And then he made it a theme of, I smoke a lot, and fuck you if you don't like me smoking, I'll smoke again just for you. I'll smoke for both of us. And you can take that to the nth degree, which is, dude, there are people that you're persuading that are listening to you who are going to think that smoking is cool, who are going to go and start smoking because of you, and eventually they're going to get cancer and die. Right. You can take it to that nth degree. You can take Dice Clay to that nth degree, like you're behaving in a misogynistic way, which is not healthy for the kids who are watching your material.
Right.
You can have that argument, this is not made for kids, but we all know what's going on here, really.
Sure.
Yeah. And that blowback is what really, like, do we want that type of misogyny on cable? Cable you have to pay for. Supreme Court made that decision. You can have anything you want on cable, basically, if people are going to pay for it. We're not talking about airwaves here. And who's going to stop people from buying a ticket to an arena? Like this, once you get past the outrage, there's all kinds of things that come in play in a free society, which at the end of the road is, look, if you don't like it, turn it off.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if it's Dice Clay or Dennis Leary or whoever. Sinead O'Connor. You don't like it, don't buy her albums. It's that simple. And that's the society we live in. So I was very happy to find this movie in the clearance bin at Half Price Books for $2.99, I think.
Right.
Because that to me meant our society for now is working out just great.
It's worth preserving as a relic, I think. Even if, to your point, you can't find this streaming. It's very difficult to find unless you find one of those.
So we live in a world in which we can buy Triumph of the Will on DVD on Amazon, but you cannot find Song of the South on Disney Plus.
Right.
I mentioned this several times in my podcast, and I'm sorry to keep beating a dead horse, but you can't get Ford Fairlane anywhere except in a used bin. Like I looked on Amazon and I couldn't find it.
You know, I think, and I was struck rewatching the Diceman Cometh. I don't think there's 48 minutes of more problematic material in the world than the Diceman Cometh. But
you know, it's funny for me at this age. You know, I'm chasing girls, and I have this like vision of what it means to be cool. So not that I acted like him, but I kind of looked at him and thought, "Wow, the way he walks and talks, and this is what it means to be cool." Turns out it wasn't true, but you know, it's just, you know, he gave I think he gave young teenagers and young adults this kind of like vision of that. You know what I mean?
Well, it's a parody.
Yeah.
Right? It's a parody
It
of
is.
a guy from that neighborhood in Brooklyn who walks and talks like that.
And I think one of the things that people don't realize, especially being an adolescent boy, I mean, there is no greater currency than making other boys laugh.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think, you know, Dice had some material. I mean, I memorized the first 10 minutes of the Diceman Cometh. I memorized every story and every inflection, every joke, because it had currency on the playground at that age, you know, to be able to kind of recite some of these things. So there was a social value to watching this, even if I kind of knew, okay, this is not who I want to model myself after. It's like I can borrow some of that cool for a little bit.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because there's two that I did the same thing with. There's Bill Cosby's himself from 1979. I memorized that entire thing, front to back, all 52 minutes of it.
Yeah.
And then the second one was Robin Williams live at the Met. That had me in stitches at the age of 9. I couldn't believe that guy was that good. Right. So I totally get it. And he's not a comedian.
Yeah.
Robin Williams is an actor.
Right. So
Gilbert
hello
Gottfried
and goodbye
exits.
to Gilbert Gottfried, another Razzie winner for this movie, worst supporting actor, in a part that was written for Howard Stern.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And then I guess Howard Stern just at the last minute just said, no.
Stern, another person who, when he came onto the scene, was enormously controversial, and now has become almost an institution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where people are begging to go on his show and be vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know, enormously vulnerable, to the point where it might hurt them into whatever they're trying to pursue. Ben Affleck caught a lot of shit for some stuff he was saying about his ex-wife, which I thought was totally taken out of context. And his point was, why do I go on a 2.5-hour show to be vulnerable and explain things if people are going to take out, you know, one sentence in 3 seconds and use it against me and my family? Like, I totally saw that. But before Stern got there, Stern was, remember, after Selena was killed, and we all remember, well, we remember that because we were living in Texas at the time.
Right.
That was a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
You know, if you were white in Texas at the time, you knew who Selena was. And when she was killed, the blowback in the white community was, who is this Mexican chick and why are people obsessed with her? They were totally not in the know, and Stern just really almost got himself canceled off his show, and his contract was reviewed, and it really put him in a dangerous place. But where he got through that was he just made sure that he had his next contract was bulletproof, so he could do whatever he wanted and nobody could get rid of him for it.
Right.
Almost. I mean, Don Imus thought that he had the same situation, but he didn't. He got his ass canned too.
Yeah, when Selena died, I was working at Sam Goody at the time, so my exposure was, I didn't know who she was either, but the floods of people coming in to buy her CDs.
No shit.
It was all day long for I don't even remember how long, but
Sam Goody, which Sam Goody was that in the Valley?
No, it was in Torrance, California.
Okay.
And I think I moved to Texas the week that she died, and so I had never heard of her, but then started high school out here, and girls had like a friend is in their lockers to Selena, and I was like, wow, okay, this is
happening.
I guess this is big, okay.
Yeah, well, she had played the rodeo, I think, the year before she died.
Right.
And,
wow.
I mean, sold it out. Like, you talking about like a 26-year-old Mexican-American sold the Astrodome
Houston
out.
rodeo.
Like, that was crazy, 65,000 tickets. Okay, so here's our favorite American dad.
One of his first departures outside of Married with Children. The first time I saw him outside of Al Bundy.
Yeah, same for me.
I tell you, man, I grew up on All in the Family, and Three's Company, and all that whole jive. I missed the boat on Married with Children. I totally did not understand any of it, and the whole Schlum family, which actually, if you think about it, is just The Simpsons.
Right.
right? And I totally was not on that boat. I skipped it.
And everyone talks about how influential it was.
You know, it was
blah, blah, blah.
It was there. I think for me, I had again that late '80s. You know, I grew up with 7 kids. You know, we had one big TV in the living room, and then I inherited the old TV that my parents had in the early '80s, and it had just air channels, and the only one that worked was Fox at the time, and so I got a steady diet of Fox sitcoms because I could watch them in my room, and so if I watched Married with Children, a little bit more of it was because it was there.
Right.
Yeah.
So it bears repeating that this is a Fox movie.
Yeah.
Dice Clay got paid an enormous amount of money to do this movie. He was millions of dollars for basically his first starring role, his only starring role. It's incredible, and Fox Channel and Fox Studios that has become recently in the last 20 years a bastion of conservative right-wing values. And it's funny to look back on their films and say, really? Ford Fairlane came from Fox?
Yeah.
And it's not just Ford Fairlane. There's a lot. You know, they made an enormous climate movie called The Day After Tomorrow.
Right.
Starring Dennis Quaid, a famous conservative Republican.
Right.
So in the end, Fox doesn't really give a shit. Fox Studios never gave a shit about... They care about money, just like any other movie studio that's operating.
Exactly. And you know, if you look behind the scenes, Fox News is an entertainment-driven network.
Right.
And I think they take the financial or the political stance they do because it sells, and it is great for ratings. And so I think they're no dummies. They're an entertainment behemoth first and foremost. And so if it's going to make money, then they'll find a place for it.
Of course, we should always put the addendum onto that they got into a lot of lawsuits. About 3 years ago, they lost the largest media lawsuit in history. It was over $1 billion settlement, and Fox had to sell 20th Century Fox to Disney.
Right.
And all the Marvel properties that went with it so they could pay off Dominion Voting Systems Incorporated.
There were some Star Wars distribution rights in that deal, too.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah.
Ooh, save that for the bonus episode. Okay, so here is the wonderful Priscilla Presley, who unfortunately lost her daughter only a couple of years ago.
Right.
And Priscilla in The Naked Gun, you were saying earlier, just what an amazing mic drop to come in, do that, walk out, come for a sequel. And she didn't have the hang up. I saw an interview with her about Ford Fairlane where she said she wanted to meet the man behind the controversy. And she met Andrew Dice Clay and said he was the sweetest, nicest, most considerate human being she had ever met.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then he could turn on Dice Man and then turn him off just like that.
Yeah.
And so when she realized that it was bifurcated,
there was a character,
it was a character, it wasn't him. She was like, I'm in.
Yeah.
I want to do this. And she said it was even in between takes, like I'm doing a take.
Rennie Harlan said he was a teddy bear on set.
Absolutely. Yeah. And these are things that break the mold, break the stereotype, break a lot of expectations of, this is just another dude.
Yeah.
Let's not get everybody just calm down.
Here's that conversation you're talking about. Yeah.
Stanley.
Roseanne Barr naked.
So that was another thing, like, oh man, I tell you, even when I watched this when I was 15, like, I don't like Roseanne Barr. I never watched her show. I hated her on a weird, like, stupid level at that age.
Yeah.
And always wondered why John Goodman kept showing up season after season to work with her. Didn't particularly like Tom Arnold until I saw him in True Lies, and just thought, what am I missing here? I don't understand this. But even that joke was offensive to me.
It felt a little mean. It felt very singular and very mean. Yeah,
very, very unwarranted.
Especially because she was a comedian as well, and she did a lot of stand up as well. So you almost kind of come from those circles.
But Priscilla Presley gets to do something in this film, which I think is really original, which is she almost like gets to dress like Priscilla Presley.
Right.
People kind of forget she was a famous model before she married Elvis.
Right.
And she's wearing a lot of hoity-toity haute couture stuff. I like the red rose particularly. And it's insane to think this is a woman who could just sit at home and do nothing for the next 15 lifetimes just with the money that she has now.
Right.
And she chooses to do this as a film.
And you can make a moral judgment on that, or you can just be amazed. Like, it obviously meant something to her.
Yeah.
His Sean Connery-like carpet of a chest. And the wife beater, because he's got to have a wife beater on.
Right.
So apparently Joel Silver, who produced this,
famous Joel Silver,
within 3 weeks of shooting, almost pulled the plug on this because he thought Andrew Dice Clay looked fat.
Really?
Yeah.
He thought he looked fat?
Yeah.
I think I might have started wearing wife beaters because of him. I'm almost positive of that.
And he and Travolta could pull it off.
Yeah.
Oh, Travolta could almost pull off anything.
Right,
Oh, my
right.
God. I'm sorry, he's not fat.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
He might have gotten the message and went on one of those Hollywood diets.
Coming from a fat guy, I know what fat looks like, and that is not fat. Look at this sweeping back shot towards Morris Day.
Yeah.
And you got Ford's lighter. And the careful blocking here. I mean,
and you said Rennie Harlan's a hack.
Yeah. It's yeah. Maybe it's the material. I don't know.
He always struck me as just action director for hire.
Well, yeah, until Cutthroat Island. My God.
Yeah.
One of my most favorite shots in any 90s film is that scene in Die Hard 2 when Bruce Willis is in the aircraft and he pulls the ejection seat while he's on the runway. And I know it's a special effects shot. Obviously, it's a blue screen matted, but it's Bruce Willis like screaming while he's strapped into this seat, coming towards the camera at height, and you can see the plane blow up in the background, and then the chute ejects right as Willis's head is right in front of the camera, and then he looks right like, oh my God, I'm going to fall now, and then the chute saves him.
Right.
That 1 5-second shot, the most amazing thing in that film, probably the most amazing thing that whole year. If I don't remember what year that was it 1990? Because I mean, to me, that competes with the Copacabana Steadicam and Goodfellas.
That stands right because
right.
I think Die Hard 2 came out before Ford Fairlane, which is
it had to be by a month or so too, because Die Hard 2 was a summer movie.
Right.
That's true. Yeah. And so this was supposed to be a May release, and I think Andrew Dice Clay always resented it being dumped this summer where there's lots of competition, or it might have opened against some lesser movies in May, but he kind of felt punished by it. And, of course, it did not do well at the box office. I think Fox bought him out of the remaining 2 pictures on his 3-picture deal.
Right, they did, yeah.
And we got Wayne Newton here.
Yeah, man, Wayne. Wayne's on a roll. The year before this, Wayne played the bad guy in a Bond film.
Right.
Oh, that's right.
And then
That's right.
License to Kill.
Right.
Was he in one of the Naked Guns?
He was. He was in the first Naked Gun, because Robert Goulet was in the Naked Gun 2, who Elvis hated, and then now Priscilla's doing a movie with Robert Goulet.
Right.
Elvis thought that Robert Goulet was ripping off of him and using his image to make money.
So this thing we actually learned, and Andrew Clay Silverstein actually was a musician.
Yes,
was a drummer primarily. Again, kind of in addition to kind of doing stand up on the Catskills circuit. He used to be a wedding musician, played a lot of bar mitzvahs. Did a lot of
like Adam Sandler.
There. Yeah,
also a musician. This was not unknown then, particularly that Catskill circuit, in the Eastern Jewish community that had that deep vaudeville vibe that they carried with them, that went into television, where they did all of these variety shows and so forth. That was a really, really rich, and this was not unknown in the 80s. Sam Kinison had rock and roll tunes on the end of his album. He released a video when he covered Wild Thing.
Yeah,
right.
He did a rock and roll song, and then when he pissed off Sinead O'Connor and she got mad at him, and so he did the video that was the takeoff of The Emperor's New Clothes. Dennis Leary had songs on his albums, right? I'm an Asshole being the one that was the only one you could play on the radio. Adam Sandler, right? Steve Motherfucking Polychronopoulos was probably my favorite Adam Sandler song.
Yeah, but great training ground for fairly versatile performers. And interestingly enough, I mean, Andrew Dice Clay went on to be a fairly decent actor.
Yes.
I remember seeing him in Blue Jasmine and thinking if he had 10 minutes of more screen time, he would have gotten an Oscar nomination.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's really good in this. And then to be in like A Star Is Born, where he straight up beat out De Niro and Ray Liotta for the part as Lady Gaga's dad. Yeah, you see, he's a very good. And so if you kind of step back and you kind of realize, okay, Dice Man's a character, he's kind of performing as a character. He's not a bad performer.
He was incredible in A Star Was Born.
Yeah,
and when I saw him pop on screen, I was shocked that he was there. And then to watch that performance, if he had 10 more minutes in that role, he probably would have been nominated.
Yeah,
again, wearing a wife beater.
Yeah.
It's the same as I remember Mickey Rourke showing up in Man on Fire.
Yeah,
with Denzel Washington, and was just being blown away and was thinking, "Holy shit! Like, this guy's got it."
Yeah,
and what he's doing with it, I don't know. He's not doing enough with it, but that's our judgment, right? Like he's probably doing just fine living off that wrestler money.
Yeah, that's a good film, though. I think
The Wrestler.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
Marisa Tomei, in addition to being smoking hot, winds up she's earned every ounce of that gold on that statue on her shelf that she has. She's wonderful.
Yeah.
So this was the only other joke I thought was funny now that I see it was the ship is called the Mighty Penis.
Mighty Penis, yeah.
Lots of phallic jokes. And here's only one thing. I got to get my notes out.
On this boat, spoilers, he gets into a fight with Robert Englund.
Mm-hmm.
Even at the time, I had a hard time separating Robert Englund from his
Freddy Krueger, right?
Persona, Freddy Krueger. So this just seemed kind of like a cameo to me. But also after this fight, which ends with the Under Siege 2 move of let's put the TV on his head and puts him underwater. What happens? Ford leaves, and then the next scene he meets Lauren Holly, and he says, I don't know who that guy was or what he wanted, why he was trying to kill me. And I just thought, well, you left the fucking boat, moron. Maybe if you'd taken the TV off of his head and then pulled him out of the water, you could have questioned him.
Right.
What rock and roll detective are you?
Yeah, he's not a very good police officer. Or I guess a detective's not necessarily a police officer, but he's not very good at his job there.
He's a little bit more than a mall cop. He's Paul Blart with really good looking sideburns.
And that Robert Englund part was supposed to be Billy Idol originally.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Got in a bad motorcycle accident.
That was huge at the time.
Yeah.
It's also amazing how many people don't know that. Like he shot the video for The Cradle of Love from his hospital bed. They put a blue screen behind him,
really,
so they could get that in, and they didn't really know if it was going to work all the way. So they did these like really low resolution pastels to sell it. If the music video, and who was the girl in the music video? Is it Tawny Katane?
Maybe
because she did a million of those back then.
Yeah.
Right.
And Billy Idol was also supposed to be in the Doors.
He was in the Doors, but he had a very small part, and he may have had a larger part that was cut down.
Right. It was because of that same motorcycle accident, because the Doors came out the same year.
Yeah. See, Robert Englund I'd known from V, the TV series.
Oh, right.
God, V.
Yeah. But you're right.
Visitors.
Once Nightmare on Elm Street came out, he was one of those, like the actors who played the Wicked Witch in Wizard of Oz. Like, he was so tied to that one role that he wasn't really getting anything else other than that.
Right. With Johnny Depp.
Yep.
Who dated Lauren Holly for a little while.
Yep.
Of course, that's not saying anything. I think Johnny Depp dated everybody in Hollywood for 20 years.
She may have been married to Jim Carrey for a little bit too, Lauren Holly.
I think you might be right.
Yeah.
Before Jenny McCarthy.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they were married. They were just sharing domiciles.
So they must have met on Dumb and Dumber then, right?
That would make sense.
Yeah.
That's about the same time.
Mm.
Dumb and Dumber, like who would have thought that movie would have lasted? Who would have thought that would have become a classic? Certainly not me.
Kick his ass, Seabass. I don't know. Something about that one.
I was not, admittedly, I was not a Jim Carrey fan until like Bruce Almighty.
Right.
Or Yes Man.
It took a while for me. I loved him on In Living Color, but I couldn't make it through Ace Ventura.
I loved In Living Color too, and his performances and his skits were always really interesting.
Yeah.
But the minute they gave him a film vehicle, I went to the movie and I paid good money to see Ace Ventura, and I could not.
I think I walked out. It was the first thing I walked out of.
It was horrible, and the sequel was worse.
Maybe it was small doses. He's a small doses.
Yeah, some of it hasn't aged well either.
No.
I'm a big Liar fan though. I don't know.
I love Liar. Liar. Yeah.
So I don't
It's
like
because
too
you got
much
big
else.
jugs. Yeah. Sorry. Speaking of a little misogyny,
Right.
See, here's another thing that I wanted to point out: Priscilla Presley looking like Priscilla Presley.
Right.
Yeah.
Just amazing. Dressed to the nines, probably wearing a Versace dress or some shit.
And I'm glad they circled back and served food because I was wondering what the hell is that they were roasting.
Oh,
and
the shark.
It turns out to be a shark. Yeah.
And Ford wearing these, Bono wraparound U2 sunglasses, and probably Gucci or some shit, and a shiny suit jacket.
So he's 33 when this movie comes out. The actor,
Jeez,
Andrew Dice Clay,
with a perfect head of hair.
Yep.
All right, here's Lauren Holly's reveal. It's like holy moly.
Yep.
And
Pulls it off.
He gets really handsy with her.
Yes, he does.
In a few minutes, and I remember thinking
that was a tough scene.
That hadn't aged well either.
Yeah.
Now, is she really a redhead? I thought she was a brunette.
This is the only movie I remember her being a redhead in, although I don't know about the actress herself.
You know, she's already self-conscious, and he's just pulling that on Front Street and talking about it. It's like, dude, shut up.
Yep.
It's the way that he talks to women is not just demeaning, but it also beggars the imagination of how this guy's actually getting laid.
Right.
Yeah. It's like that scene in Swingers. It's really funny, but at the same time, it boggles the imagination. It's when Vince Vaughn they're in the casino and he's got the 50-cent piece, and he's talking to the waitress. Why don't you take this 50-cent piece and go get yourself something and bring us back 2 beers? And Jon Favreau's like, you are such an asshole.
Yeah.
What are you doing? They're never going to talk to us again. And the next scene, they're at the bar, and she brings a friend, and they sit at the bar and they have drinks. And how is this happening?
Yeah.
How is this happening? This is not happening. Not real.
Well, in high school, this is what I experienced with other guys my age, where they were treating women this way, and for some reason, these beautiful women would latch onto these men that mistreated them. And that's where a lot of, I think, this appeal came from this film, is that just emboldened them to act that way because they were succeeding. And it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. But
they have like bully chic,
Yeah.
I guess. It had its moment. And so, of course, Wayne Newton, this was a part that was originally offered to David Bowie.
Oh, my God.
So I think they were trying to go rock and roll with as much of this as possible.
Well, they fucked up. They should not have passed on David Bowie.
Yeah.
They should have paid double and got him. See, he shoves the seafood in her mouth.
Yeah.
It's just gross.
Yeah, this is a tough scene to get through on the rewatch.
And of course, the seafood is just a replacement for something else that they don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
And there's this horrible, horrible, horrible shot coming up from the nighttime concert when he goes to buy the ticket, and it's an over-shoulder shot of a guy who's scalping tickets.
Oh, yeah.
And 4 girls stand into frame, and they're all wiping something either into their mouth or away from their mouth. And then he gives them the tickets so they could go to the concert. So again, a lot of oral stuff going on.
Yep.
Where this steak, this meat. It's an interesting dress. I don't know if I'd wear it to a function like that, but and the famous CD, which very few people could afford back then at $17.99 in a long box. It took a long time for CDs to phase in.
Yeah.
Just because of the cost of it.
You know, it's funny. The way I was able to watch this film so many times is I bought it previewed VHS at one of several outside of Blockbuster. There were other stores that did video rentals and music. But then I don't know if you guys remember, but at the time, if you wanted to buy a brand new video cassette, it was like $100.
Yeah. So
I bought this movie for $5 months after, and so it would just be on my rotation during the summer. I'd watch it over and over again. So that's the only way at the time I was able to get some of these films.
You had to wait for the movies to be out on the shelves for a couple of months,
right.
Be rented enough time to justify the $100.
Exactly.
And then when they go from 10 copies to 2, jump in and grab it for $9.99. Yeah.
And another of my guilty pleasures that I bought the same way is Career Opportunities. It's one of my one of my favorite films.
Jennifer Connelly.
Oh yeah. And so
Late
that's another
John
one
Hughes.
I've seen a million times too. So
did John Hughes direct that?
He did.
He did.
They shot that in a Target, didn't they?
Right.
Who's the dude in that?
Frank Whaley.
Right.
Frank Whaley
yeah.
from The Doors.
Yeah.
Played Robbie Krieger.
That's right.
I have no idea how she's walking on the grass in those heels. Here's the milkshake. Set it on fire. I guess it's a Grand Marnier creme brulee milkshake.
Something like that.
With some Everclear in it to make it light up.
Yeah.
I guess he likes the toasted flavor. The aquarium's got to have dead fish in it. Just has to.
Yeah.
There's no way he's taking care of fish.
None.
I mean, this is how he takes care of the koala. So
yeah.
Cheese popcorns. He's going to get fat if he keeps drinking milkshakes like that.
I know, right?
That's like 2 liters of milkshake there.
Yeah.
Kurt Loder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That was a blast.
The most respected.
Oh, I
video
know,
journalist.
right?
Yeah.
Ted Koppel, fuck you. Kurt Loder.
He was the one that broke the Kurt Cobain suicide.
Yeah, he did, yeah. He was also, he was a Stars and Stripes reporter.
Was he really?
Yeah, for U.S. Armed Forces. That's how he learned his trade, much like Hunter Thompson.
Okay.
When he was in the Air Force back in the 50s. And John Norris, he popped up later, and Tabitha Soren. That's where I got most of my news from about 1989 to 2002.
Back when we used to watch music videos nonstop.
The golden era of MTV.
Dude, do you remember when MTV opened a second channel called MVT2 so that you could watch music videos?
For more videos.
So you didn't have to watch remote control and real life reruns?
Yeah.
Those are the days.
Yeah, see, even revisiting terrible stuff like this is still a revisit to those good days.
Good as all. There's the shot I'm talking about. Wiping their mouths.
Yep.
I mean, I know this is 1990. There were things in the 70s that you could not put in cinema now.
Right.
But that was a pretty gross shot for 1990.
And yet, I can't lie. I think as a 13-year-old, I was disappointed that there was no gratuitous nudity in this movie.
Zero gratuitous nudity.
Not a nipple to be seen, which is unusual because every comedy in the 80s had bare breasts. And this did not. It certainly did not skimp on innuendo or vulgar jokes, but had no nudity. And I remember being even a little bit disappointed that a movie like this would not have gone there.
Well, and not just that, but I mean, I remember even at the time, that shot was not funny to me.
Right.
And that's like, for a 15-year-old, that's some funny shit.
Right.
8 years later, in Something About Mary, Cameron Diaz takes a wad of ejaculate from Ben Stiller's ear and then shoves it into her hair.
Yep.
And I was in a theater with 700 other people who could not hear the next 3 minutes of the film because we were all laughing so much.
Yeah.
So there's a way to do this and have some fun with it and have some humor in it.
Oh, sure.
I don't think that was
No, that was not a humorous scene.
No, that was really misogynistic. It was like
Yeah.
Peter North Volume 4 and 5.
And, blow the guy to get into the concert is kind of like the low-hanging fruit, like don't drop the soap in prison. It just kind of almost expect it. And then here we meet Zuzu Petals for the first time.
Right.
Like her name is actually a reference to a line in It's a Wonderful Life.
Mm-hmm.
See, lots of little
Somebody
nods
slashed his
that this
tires.
movie didn't deserve.
I mean, is anyone surprised his tires are slashed?
No.
I mean, it's probably some girl that saw him at the party and was like, that
Right.
fucker.
But they leave his cell phone there? Why wouldn't they just grab the cell phone, too, while they're at it? I don't know.
Unless this is the guy that slashed the tires and
most likely,
wanted
yeah.
him to be able to say.
Conveniently.
Mm-hmm.
I think this other scene coming up, too, with the supposed, spoiler alert, dead girl, if she had been nude, it probably would have sold the scene a little better.
Right.
Because they're in a hearse and she's...
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Well, then they play around with necrophilia. Like, you
Right.
don't
Right.
know that she's not dead. I thought that was another one. So I didn't...
It was, yeah. And I remember being slightly relieved when she woke
Right.
up that at least they didn't really go there.
Well, I mean, this movie exists as the total proof that Hollywood will truly do anything for money.
Oh, yeah.
And that includes not just the executives and the producers, but the actors as well. I feel bad for working actors who are put into a situation of, do you want this job?
Yeah.
And then, of course, they want the job. And then it's sort of an evolving situation of shit that they don't want to do. There's this girl whose name escapes me. James Franco hired her for pre-production shots to make, to sell to a studio of an idea that he wanted to make for a movie. And it involved nudity. This happens a lot. It was in a facility that was for movie production, not in a hotel room or anything like Harvey Weinstein like, but she's wearing a cup over her genitals, and he asks her, well, can you remove that so that we can shoot this scene? It's like, well, with your face down there. And she did this apparently for $300 because it was only going to be for an hour.
Right.
So does she want to work? Yeah. Does she want to be totally nude and put her vagina in James Franco's face? I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
That was probably for someone that she just met, 90 minutes ago. Probably not.
Right.
Here's the, necrophilia. But at the time, you don't know that she's alive.
No, exactly.
I'm also getting a lot of. You seen The Nice Guys with
Will
Russell
Ferrell.
Crowe?
Oh, okay. I'm thinking
And
the other guys.
Ryan Gosling.
Yes, the
Oh,
nice
yeah.
guys.
I'm getting a lot of those vibes off of this with the moving cars and the going from party to party to party trying to solve crimes.
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering if I can't remember who. I think Shane Black directed The Nice Guys.
At
think
least
you're right.
wrote it, yeah.
Exceptional screenwriter, Shane Black.
Yeah.
So she was kind of getting on my nerves.
Yeah. And Robert Englund just does not look menacing without Freddy Krueger makeup. He's kind of an awkward-looking guy. He's not pulling off the neck beard.
I understand that he's actually one of these like really nice guys.
Sure, right.
And how did they? I mean, this graveyard has to be fake.
Yeah. I was thinking it might be Hollywood Forever, but there's no hills.
Hollywood Forever would not let them
Right.
in there. Yeah, that's the one behind Paramount.
Right.
That's flat. Yeah.
We've seen many films there. If you've ever done that, you got to do that.
I haven't been to Hollywood Forever. I went to the one in Burbank, and I saw Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds. I saw their altar, which was really impressive and beautiful and respectful. I think her brother, Debbie Reynolds' son, commissioned it. I mean, it's like Italian marble. It's just gorgeous.
I'm actually friends with him on Facebook.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Todd Fisher.
Yeah. Yeah, because his father is Mike Todd. Stepfather. It's the Fisher family tree is very complicated.
It is, yeah. But he got some flack because after they both passed away, he was auctioning off all kinds of memorabilia of theirs.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So that was kind of immediately afterwards he was doing that, and so
probably had to pay for that shrine at Hollywood or the Burbank Cemetery. Ed and his shit-eating grin and his mustache. Although the mustache is very nicely cropped, I must say.
Yep. He's believable as a cop.
He's a pretty good actor. He's one of those people, again, that doesn't get a whole lot of respect.
Sure.
He's been acting for 50 years. Tons of TV.
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do. Does anybody have a theory as to why his jacket has cow skin print on it?
I want to say like cow skin pants were a thing then. Maybe like leopard skin is at some point a thing in that era.
Leopard skin goes in and out pretty consistently.
Yeah.
But the bovine,
that is
not
unusual.
Yeah. The funny thing too is before this, DC put a 4 comic book prequel of Ford Fairlane out, which I no longer had because it got stolen when we moved here. But in the artwork, it's awful. But I think it might touch on the jacket because he's wearing a different jacket most of that comic series.
Because Ford Fairlane himself was a character in like some novellas or short stories. Just some basic crime story. Very loosely inspired here.
Really?
They were looking for just a star vehicle for Andrew Dice Clay.
An easy pickup for IP that they could push out.
And that they bought for 25 cents.
Or had around and said, he'll fit into this.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would die to see a sequel to this film.
with Dice Clay?
Yeah.
The retired rock and roll detective.
Bring back Brandon Call as an adult and... You know what I mean? I don't know.
See, this is cruel.
Yeah. I know.
This is wrong.
Kill the koala.
I mean, I'd rather it be a person swinging from there.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was the microwave.
That was the television.
Setup.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the microwave in a second here.
They've got an amazing stunt shot of them running away from the house when the house blows up.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
It's pretty impressive. And it says Rennie Harlan all over it.
Yeah, this is where the movie clearly shifts to 90s action comedy.
Definitely.
And pretty much the rest of the movie, you're going to see something that you've seen by 24 other names.
Yeah, it's very these lethal weapon-esque explosions and,
Right, or like Cuffs with Christian Slater and Bruce Boxleitner.
I hadn't thought about that movie.
Oh, dude, I love Cuffs. Arrow put out a special edition of it, and I bought it.
Wow. I was forgetting about that even as I left the theater.
Here's the microwave.
Okay. And I remember thinking, even as a kid, like, this is the longest 11 seconds.
It is.
So I did time it on the rewatch. 1 minute and 2 seconds is how long it takes for the last 11 seconds.
These 4 seconds are...
Yeah, 4 seconds.
Would not have made the back
Full
door.
speed, slow speed.
But this is good.
But to your point, yes, this is that great 90s Rennie Harlan shot coming up here. It's just 1 minute and 2 after.
Oh, he does a stretch zoom here on a 3/4 shot of the mountains.
Yeah.
Boom. It just takes a while to happen, folks.
Yeah.
There you go. See, I mean, that was a live shot with them looking at it.
And again, how does the back of that house match the front of that house?
I don't know.
There's a great shot in Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, where a gas station explodes, and she's driving like a 1959 Cadillac convertible away from it, and it's a live shot with it blowing up in the background. And they told her, you're going to feel heat. You're not on fire. It's just the heat from the blast. You're far enough away. Everything will be fine. And she said that she felt her neck just felt like it was like someone who just poured gasoline on her neck and lit it.
Right.
And she was, I don't know, a few hundred feet away from the fire. And it's a live shot.
There's also that famous shot in that really shitty movie that I hate, Syriana, with George Clooney. It's a car bomb going off, and you see him basically walk to the car, put the bomb in the car,
shot,
and then he walks down the street, and you can see that Clooney's like he's bearing down to keep himself calm as he walks away so that he doesn't jump when the explosion goes off. It's a really impressive shot.
Yeah, speaking of like gas station explosions, like you have RoboCop, which had a pretty good.
I was just thinking about
and,
that. Yeah.
Point Break also, which was around where I live too.
Oh yeah,
the gas
with
station
the
exploded.
he lights
the
pump.
Yeah.
Yeah, Point Break is a great LA movie.
It definitely is.
Fantastic. Yeah. Hey, did you see the remake?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Me too.
But I'm just one of these people. There are certain directors that you cannot ape. Like Hitchcock is very apeable. Hitchcock remakes are everybody does them. Shot for shot, different shots. Catherine Bigelow, you cannot recreate her.
No.
She is an original mind, and there's no way you can do what she does.
But how can you replace Swayze in that film? I mean, you can't.
It's a sin. It is a sin.
You just can't.
And not just that, like the Roadhouse remake. Like, what are you fucking thinking?
Yeah.
Just make it a different character. Call it Roadhouse, but give him a different name.
Exactly.
It takes place in a different time period. I kind of like the UFC setup.
Sure.
I thought that was really smart.
Yeah.
Relocating to Key West, okay, you know, I'll go with that. But don't use Swayze's character's name. That's wrong. All hail Patrick Swayze from Houston, Texas.
Though in that remake, though, that whole scene where he just slaps those guys down, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, you got health insurance? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, here's definitely some gratuitous stuff going on here, but
yeah,
no
but
nudity.
Still, they pulled just short.
And this was the era right after Revenge of the Nerds. You know, there was an era here where in comedies you can have a lot of nudity and everything's
you had
good.
the whole horn dog comedy. Yeah.
Hot Dog the movie.
Porky's, Zapped.
Like everything you can imagine as a young male to see, and like they're eating corn dogs and they're having pillow fights and like you know what I mean, like
and under boobs.
Yeah.
And Clay just looks like he's gonna just drop a load in his pants. Which again, good acting. Which I'm sure he didn't have to try that hard in this scene.
Right.
And then he catches her. Of course, he catches her.
Right.
But this is something that they tried to bring back with Mallrats, and they failed. And they tried to bring back with a lot of comedies in the American Pie and so forth.
Yeah.
And that wound up being a flash in the pan. And the last one I saw that was really good with Jennifer Lawrence was in.
Oh yeah, No Hard Feelings.
That was hysterical.
Oh, she was
does the full nude on the beach, and she's getting into a fist fight with the other chick.
That was great.
I was dying laughing.
I love it when they play nudity for a totally unintended effect, unexpected, and that was great. Seeing her run out at full speed, fully naked, just jump on somebody,
and the punches back and forth.
were
brutal.
I think I don't know if you ever watch any of her like interviews and late night show.
She's got a sense of humor.
She is hilarious.
She is.
I see like reels all the time. It's
Well, I've seen her on Graham Norton, and Graham Norton can't get enough of her.
Yeah.
He can't barely interview her because he's laughing so hard. She's one of these people. She's a natural comedian, and she's got a natural way, like a lot of people do in real time in real life. Another person that was like that 100 years ago apparently was Marion Davies. She was a silent film actress. She did a couple of talkies. Unfortunately, she's most famous for being the live-in lover of William Randolph Hearst, who was, I think, almost 50-something years her senior.
So was she the one that Amanda Seyfried played in Mank?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I believe she was nominated for
She
that.
was,
That was a wonderful
Good
role
role for her, yeah.
Yeah. And she apparently was one of these people who was just extremely quick-witted and really fast and could turn on a dime and always had a line for everything. And even Orson Welles has this interview about how I don't know how anyone can think that the character in Citizen Kane could be anything like Marion Davis. Like if you had met Marion Davis, you realize that these are two completely opposite people.
Right.
Marion Davies was actually a genuine, really funny person that everybody wanted to be around. And that's way off topic. But here we are on the way to the biker joint. So this reminded me of The Rookie, the famous movie with Charlie Sheen and Clint Eastwood when he goes to the biker bar. And here he's about to perform this ceremony where he's going to sacrifice himself for the pool of virgins. And
yeah, exactly. Instead, just go and fight the same Euro villains that pop up in everything.
And this is one of those things where I don't know if you could shoot something like this, even though there's no nudity in it. I don't know I don't know how you would approach this material with an actor. Now we have intimacy coordinators, and the entire industry has changed because of the whole Weinstein and scandal, which spread to other producers in Hollywood and other screenwriters in Hollywood. And we're right in the middle of the Baldoni lawsuit with Blake Lively.
Right.
But again, there's nothing that I read in the research for this that anything funny happened off set.
No.
On set rather, behind the scenes.
I mean, it is taking a very, very broad treatment at this misogyny here.
Right.
So I don't think anybody could mistake it for real.
No, God, I hope not. It's just a movie, folks.
It still hasn't aged well at all.
No.
That's not a defense of it by any means, but I think even at 13 you could kind of tell the difference. You can kind of tell it was an act. I know I could certainly see the flop sweat.
It's a time capsule.
Yeah.
It's just like a few weeks ago at my birthday party where we played Cleopatra Jones in the Casino of Gold. That's a time capsule.
Sure.
That's got a lot of stuff in it that maybe wouldn't fly today. I didn't think there was a lot of it, but that's not the point, right? There's a few N-words, just some slight racism the other way against white people in that movie.
Sure.
But if you can't take that, how can you sit through some movies that have slight racism the other way?
Sure.
So in that aspect, that was definitely interesting to watch this.
Yeah, I think this felt like it. It felt like it really was kind of rushed to capitalize on what I'm sure people knew even then, Andrew Dice Clay's diminishing stardom and relevance. But I think even when it came out, it kind of felt like it came out 6 months too late.
Right. They missed the window.
Yeah.
If this had come out in 89 or 88, it would have made 10 times more money.
Mm-hmm. I mean, 89, that summer was a huge movie year.
That was.
So, I mean, it would have fit right there.
And then, of course, you have to worry about your audience getting exhausted. Like if you premiere this in August, by the time you get to August 89, are you still in Batman mode? Or are there so many hits that summer that Ford Fairlane gets missed?
It could have. Right? It could have. But, Andrew Dice Clay maximized his moment, certainly.
Yeah.
This movie, when it came out, and that was kind of my realization kind of as a fan, is, okay, wow, this is kind of the end of...
Right.
It's kind of outlived its moment.
I was sad, actually, the first time I watched this. Like, you don't shoot Priscilla Presley. This is wrong. So I do have to ask, did you guys hit pause and read some of the names on the CD of the bands that he was producing?
But I saw on Wikipedia they had all the names. Somebody had actually found them and put them on there.
Okay, so the few that I found that made sense to me, I wasn't going to Google because there were like 60 of them.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to Google any one. The one that really stood out to me was Nakatomi Boys Choir.
Ah, yes.
Thought that was
Rennie Harlan throwback.
Yeah.
Die Hard.
I mean, considering his movie isn't the one with Nakatomi in
it.
Right. I thought, okay, that's score. Good man. The other one was Alba Varden. Do you know Alba Varden?
Lethal Weapon 2.
That was Lethal Weapon 2. That's right. That was the name of the ship. That was one of the funniest things. So even at 15, this is how messed up I am. Of course, you guys come over here and you sit here in front of a wall of books, hundreds of books I have behind me from the Second World War. So you knew that I would catch this at the age of 15 when Mel Gibson says, "Was that Hitler's girlfriend?" No, that's Eva Braun. That's Eva Braun. Alba Varden was the ship where you run after you have diplomatic immunity. The Professor and Marianne.
Oh,
that was one of the bands. Polanski Nursery, which was fucked up. I thought that was cruel. Teenage Suicide. It's a Heathers reference.
Right, okay.
Right? By Big Fun. Teenage Suicide, Don't Do It by Big Fun. And then you have Requiem of Paco the Shoeshine Boy by Wolfgang Binky.
Yeah, you'll have to explain that one.
Yeah, I don't know that either. That could have been just totally out of the left pocket. But the Nakatomi Boys Choir, I want that album.
Yeah.
So here's actually a pretty good set. Wayne Newton has the most fascinating career. Mr. Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Movie villain. And, of course, he's been famous since the age of 14 when his famous song was the #1 hit. Do you know the song?
I don't.
No,
he's one of those. I saw him in Naked Gun, and I think even then I was aware that he was a singer first, not an actor, but I never went down the road of... I figured he's probably a crooner, but I honestly don't even know what he'd sing.
Yeah, Frank Sinatra supposedly found him.
Okay.
And his song is in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, is Donkashane.
Donkashane.
Okay.
Yeah, he sang
right.
that before his voice dropped.
That makes sense.
He sang
okay.
that, yeah.
Oh, right. They go over that in Vegas Vacation.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He sings it. He sings it in there, and then he kind of like seduces.
Oh, that's right.
The wife.
Yeah. Beverly D'Angelo.
Beverly D'Angelo, yeah.
Wonderful actor. I love Beverly D'Angelo. She did an interview with, if you ever have the time, there's a podcast that Gilbert Gottfried actually had when he was alive called Gilbert Gottfried's Amazing Colossal Podcast.
Mm.
And Beverly D'Angelo went on there for about an hour and a half and talked about her favorite movies.
Wow.
This was about 5-6 years ago. And another person with a wonderful personality. And then she popped up in a horror movie a couple of years ago. Luke and I went to go see a horror movie with David Harbour. David Harbour played Santa Claus.
Oh, right.
Who was old, tired, and drunk.
Yeah, I saw the poster, but never saw the movie.
And was getting tired of dropping off presents. And so he's locked in this house, and he can't get out. And he has to start swinging an axe when a hit squad comes to take out the head of the family who's worth a lot of money. And hilarity ensues. And the head of the household is Beverly D'Angelo.
Okay.
Oh.
So she wound up in the, being a pleasant surprise in that movie. I cannot remember the name. Saint Nick, I think, is the name.
Gotcha.
The only thing recent I can think of, which isn't even recent anymore, of her being in is like the last few seasons of Entourage.
Okay. Beverly D'Angelo?
Yeah, she was in that. I can't think of anything else.
Which also featured Andrew Clay for a while.
That's
playing
true.
himself.
Yeah, he was in that.
Playing
too,
himself,
right?
yeah.
Oh.
He made a movie with one of the guys.
Did he talk like this?
He played like a gorilla, I think. Like, it was animated, yeah.
Oh. This is the famous rooftop shot from the Capitol Records building on Hollywood and Vine, isn't it?
Yes.
Yep.
And they've changed the exterior now, so it doesn't look exactly the same as this, but it's supposed to mimic a stack of records.
Right. That's
right.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the Selena Star is right there too now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm almost positive.
Way to close that loop, Warren.
Hey,
That's fantastic.
Nice. And of course, the Uzi, which is the standard '80s villain weapon of choice.
Right.
Yes, well, I mean, that's the Israeli connection. And, anyone who's watched Delta Force with Lee Marvin and Chuck Norris has fond memories of the Uzi. The Uzi seems like it was in every 80s action film.
It did, yeah.
Then it kind of evolved to the MAC-10, I think, from the
Uzi. The
MAC-10
was a cheap ripoff of the Uzi because the MAC-10 was semi-automatic.
Oh.
So you pull the trigger every time you want it to fire. The Uzi was fully automatic.
Right.
And the Uzi was actually never really you could not purchase the Uzi in the United States. It had always been banned.
All fully automatic weapons, unless you have a special federal firearms license sold by the government, you're not allowed to have a weapon that is fully automatic. And that's the way that law's been. I mean, I think it's been since the 1930s, since like Bonnie and Clyde days. They banned those. Look at this fantastic stunt. What'd you drop the gun for?
And this scene goes on for a long.
I thought it ran a bit long too. Yeah. I think we talked before about the scene that somebody, I don't know if it was on their phone or whatever, but David Lynch was directing, and he had like a line producer. It's like, do you think the scene is running a little bit long? And David Lynch like loses his shit while the actors are still doing their lines.
Yeah.
And then everybody behind the camera is like turning around and like, what's going on? And then David Lynch is like, what is your fucking problem with the scene running long? What is this obsession? It is glorious. Yeah. Another one of those directors I think we discussed before. I don't particularly like his movies, but I love David Lynch, the man, and what he's done. Right. But I am one of those people, when I saw this, I thought, how long are we going to be on the building?
Yeah. Are we going to go down every single floor, opening through opening?
Yeah, there's like 7 or 8 floors. Look at that. Was another awesome shot where they rolled the camera up on the axis. That's
my hair. My hair.
Yeah. Okay. 3 good jokes. So that's where you can take an absolutely cheap shot and then make it work for you.
Yeah,
because those shots took nothing to make. They're in a studio and just roll the camera around a static person.
That my hair joke is a Travolta Saturday Night Fever joke.
Oh yeah,
like, Mom, my hair.
Oh yeah. Well, that shot in Saturday Night Fever before he goes out and he's got the hair dryer.
Oh right.
And then he's like staring into the mirror at himself is really like, whew, the narcissism in that shot, which is what that was for. Right?
Exactly, right.
Yeah. People kind of forget that Saturday Night Fever is actually a dark movie.
Very dark.
It's not meant to be a good old time film. He sacrifices the fender.
Yep. Which, of course, is made of wood, not glass.
Not ceramic.
Shattered like that.
And a grand piano. And then here I was wondering, okay, they're getting to auto destruction, which is what you call when you destroy musical instruments. And, of course, the band that's famous for auto destruction is The Who.
Right.
They're the ones who did it. Of course, Chris Novoselic destroyed his bass live during the MTV Music Video Awards in 1990 when he threw his bass up and then it accidentally hit himself in the head on the way down and then it hit the floor and then destroyed the bass. And Dennis Miller was actually talk about a name from Saturday Night Live. He was hosting the show that night, and they cut to him after that when they were escorting Nirvana off stage. Dennis Miller's eyes were about the size of saucers. He was like, "Did you see that bass player take it in the head? That was crazy." He didn't know how to do the broadcast after that. He was kind of at a loss for words. One of the few times Dennis Miller ever couldn't find a word to say.
And this had a joke that I loved when I was a kid.
From Dennis Miller?
No, from
Fort Fairlane?
Dice here.
Dice, which is?
He asked where those people are from, and I forget where they're from, Iowa or something like that. And he says, "I'm from my daddy's penis."
That's pretty funny,
yeah.
actually. Siri, don't be repeating Dice Clay jokes.
Yeah.
Most of the Dice Clay jokes that I actually like, I can't say on this podcast.
Right.
There are very few of them because, like I was saying before, I was never a fan. But there were a couple that broke through. But it's kind of like broken clock is right twice a day type of thing with me. I'll tell you after we stop recording.
Probably just as well.
Is there an Art Mooney joke here? Is Art Mooney a real person? I didn't even Google it.
I didn't. Yeah. I didn't Google it either, and I didn't recognize a reference.
Well, you guys talk about Morris Day and Sheila E. here. I'm going to look up Art Mooney.
All right. It's Morris Day, of course. This is probably the second best cameo for Morris Day. I'd put his appearance in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Ain't nobody going to fool with the time.
That's right. Of course, Kevin Smith had a little bit more of a Prince connection, too. So he did film almost an entire documentary on Prince before Prince said, nah, never mind.
Art Mooney, 1911 to 1993, was an American singer and band leader. His biggest hits were I'm Looking for a Four-Leaf Clover and Babyface in 1943 and Nuttin' for Christmas with Barry Gordon in 1955.
So does he actually have a star?
He does.
Okay.
His 4th million-selling song was Honey Babe in 1955, used in the motion picture Battle Cry, and it reached the top 10 in the United States.
And I Screwed the Kids. Yeah. Yeah, some of these names are
His
great.
star on the Walk of Fame was prominently featured in the 1990 motion picture The Adventures of Ford Fairlane.
Okay.
It made Wikipedia. What? You're a relative of Art Mooney.
I know.
He was actually alive during this. He died in 1993.
Okay.
Look how wonderfully lit that shot is. You know, there's nothing more wonderful than seeing a film that is so well made that you don't like.
Yeah.
I went and saw Ash on Tuesday night with Eliza Gonzalez and Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad.
Bad.
And I like those two actors, and it was almost like it's an A24 Alien ripoff. Very well done. Plot not sold at all. Just totally not into the storyline at all. But beautiful looking film.
Morris Day has a CD, a gold CD on his chain around his neck.
And he's rocking a little bit of cow print himself. An undershirt.
Yeah, I just, even when I was young and I was into Prince, I was huge into Morris Day. I just thought, I had the time on 45. Lauren Hawley putting her dukes up.
Yep.
The finale is, like you were saying, action genre from the 90s. The finale is the most stereotypical, over-the-top public showdown.
Yep.
Seen it in dozens of movies. Wayne and his pencil-thin mustache. Nobody wears a tuxedo better than him.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I was watching before this. I didn't watch the film again, but I did watch a few trailers over again, and I did watch the behind-the-scenes making of. I did watch that beforehand. But in the trailer, one of the trailers, he sings the song about, this is on the right of me, this is on the left of me. And then they dub out him. I pissed in the punch bowl.
Oh yeah.
To spit in the punch bowl. But you can say the other. It's very weird. They changed that, but they didn't change the song. Or not even use the song in the trailer.
That's weird.
Isn't that strange?
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know if the same people are in charge of the ratings. They can't be in charge of trailers.
Yeah, I don't know. And this was before we saw a lot of Red Band trailers too. So, maybe you did have to kind of play to different sensibilities because you couldn't control the audience of the trailers.
Well, it just seems like in the last 10 years, all of a sudden F-bombs are showing up.
Yeah,
in trailers.
exactly.
It's like, what's going on? Wayne steals the discs and he bites them and he cuts his lips.
Right.
So he's not strong enough to break them with his hands.
It did seem an odd choice.
It's sort of weird. Bless you, my child. Every time I see Wayne, I think of him in License to Kill. Bless you, my child. When Carrie Lowell, who's Richard Gere's wife, she's the Bond girl in License to Kill, and she seduces him into his bedroom and then takes his bag of money, and he says, "Bless you, my child," because he thought, well played. Well, you got me in here and you took my cash. Good for you. Yes, he played a reverend. Waltz Quadrant, is that what that says?
Something like that.
His hair is incredible. I mean, I wonder how much time it took every day to do that. Here's the Naked Gun finale, or there was a Naked Gun 2 when he's peeing and he's on mic.
I think they went to that well a couple times in the Naked Gun series, but I know he definitely had a press conference in the first movie.
Yeah. When he was in the bathroom and he starts singing to himself. Yeah, I even pissed in the punch bowl. And then the milkshake becomes the Deus Ex Machina. How are we going to end this? I'm going to grab the milkshake.
He's like, shake me.
And I don't think I ever saw this actress again in anything ever.
You know, it really made me think, were they trying to go for like a younger Stevie Nicks type of thing? I don't know what they were trying to achieve. Got the 4-inch Smith. Shake me. He flicks the cigarette. Of course, I'm sure the Grand Marnier, here's the whatever the hell he does.
The 8-step spit.
It was big in the Catskills in 1974.
Oh!
That was unbelievable.
Yep. Which I was
like
today years old when I realized that song that played nonstop for about 2 years from 90 to 92.
Who was the band?
EMF.
EMF.
But that song sampled Andrew Dice Clay. Just never picked up on that. Is that one of the Zappas?
Oh, probably. Is that Dweezil?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, that looks like Frank. That can't be. Jesus, here's another cock knocker joke here. And they're going to start dancing.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know why Ed O'Neill is in this movie. I'm not. She has no relevance on the plot.
You wouldn't call it comic relief. I mean, he gets to do his booty time dance here.
God, booty time is a really poor way to make me laugh because it didn't work.
No,
has no staying powers. Again, nothing against Ed O'Neill or his wardrobe, which is clearly based off of John Travolta from Saturday Night Fever.
Yep.
But this is sort of like Ford Fairlane is a rock and roll detective, and he's in a disco suit.
Elements, so
disco is dead. We all know that. Disco gets hit in the balls. And now we're back to the apartment where there's still probably a dead koala swinging from the fan.
Yep.
Who's probably burnt to a crisp because the apartment blew up.
Oh, we haven't heard the last of the koala. Realize he has to make some different life choices.
Yeah, like maybe move to a different neighborhood that's cheaper and more affordable. Start selling your memorabilia that you collect from your clients on eBay,
right,
to gain money. Start filing a 1099.
And so, of course, the subplot with all this is that little kid wants him to find his dad.
So so this is another thing I watched when I watched this a couple of weeks ago, and England's got this 1911 nickel-plated .45. If you don't know by now at home, I am a gun enthusiast. This is 3 years before The Crow, and you just couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, after 1993, now they're talking about, okay, we're going to use mirrors when we point guns at people, or we're going to use forced perspective and put the camera at a certain distance so that we don't have to point the gun at the person, but when it's on camera, it's going to look like it. They do a lot of, Lord of the Rings type of stuff to use larger guns and smaller guns that are actually replicas. They're not real guns.
Or they've got a replica of a gun with the hammer cocked as opposed to one with the hammers down, and neither one of them will fire because they're not made to fire. And that scene with Robert Englund circling him in a half circle, you can't do a shot like that anymore. Not with a real firearm for sure.
Right.
And of course now after Rust, like holy shit,
game will change again.
Everyone is, like Alec Baldwin was saying, I don't know if I'll ever be in another film again with a firearm after that.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And I don't blame him. And then England's got the good little giggle here. We're very sinister.
Yeah.
Or not. But let's go ahead and throw that gun away and we'll fight.
What's he wearing? He's wearing like some S&M outfit.
Right.
Yeah. And here Clay's got the taxi driver Travis Bickle slide through his right arm that puts the revolver into his hand.
Mm-hmm.
See, he's not without charm.
No. Deadly handsome dude.
Yeah.
He couldn't get away with these jokes if he was ugly.
Yeah.
Of course, ugly is just an aesthetic. We all have to get over it. We understand. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Okay, Warren, here's your favorite best friend coming up here.
Yeah, I get him being typecasted as the kid, but, he was like, I don't know if you've seen Blind Fury.
He was in Blind Fury with Rutger Hauer?
He was in Baywatch with Hasselhoff the first season. That's kind of like his role. But
well, if he was in Baywatch for one episode, all I can say is good on you. Baywatch is another one where people were making fun of it for all 12 seasons it was on or whatever.
Yep.
Jesus, that show was hugely popular.
Yeah.
Very profitable.
And then he turned around and sold it to China, and they played it in China, and he made twice as much money.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still thinking Malibu?
Yeah.
I'm your real dad. No, you're not.
Yep.
And here's one thing I just kind of course, that does look more like Laguna Beach. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does.
I love her car, by the way. I want a car like that. It is sort of like I'm teaching this kid to behave like me, talk like me, talk to women like I do. I was really not cool with that. And Lauren Holly showing up, I was just surprised she wasn't in like a two-piece bathing suit.
Right.
Shot in slow-mo.
Yeah, she is still kind of pulling up the shirt and exposing her midriff, though. So it's,
but a lot of restraint.
Yeah,
from the directors and the producers, a lot of restraint. Because this is not an R film, is it?
It is.
It is an R film.
It is an R film.
Language.
It feel like it could have gone further, and maybe been a little bit more true to itself. I think it still kind of borders on camp, and I think bordered on camp even in 1990.
Yeah, I agree with that.
This has a 6.4 on IMDb.
That surprised me. That, a Razzie winner for Worst Picture. That I think its Rotten Tomatoes score was in like the 40s or something like that. I expected it to be lower.
This got an ASCAP award. I have no idea what that is. Film and Television Music Awards.
It did for, I think, Cradle
of Love. The MTV Music Video Award for Cradle of Love.
It's not a bad song.
3 Razzies, 4 Razzies, 5 Razzies, 6 Razzies. Worst Director, Worst Supporting Actor.
Screenplay, Picture, Actor, yeah.
So these are not really awards.
Yeah.
Profanity is severe. I didn't think the profanity was severe.
I don't think so.
I thought that shot of the 4 girls standing up after giving the dude head and wiping their mouths, I thought that was severe, but I didn't think the profanity was. It says sex and nudity mild. There's no sex in this film.
No sex. I mean, maybe that's the implied sex.
Well, I suppose, but that's the after effects.
Yeah.
Bros and Hoes Volume 12.
look, we're a family again. So then the koala is what, alive? What?
Yeah,
Explain
and,
the koala.
and he flubs the line. He said, "You didn't think we'd kill the flucking koala."
Well, they only had time, I guess, for one shot, one take.
Yeah, one take, and he flubbed it, and yeah, they did it.
And then they moved on. Well, they're probably on Joel Silver's yacht, and they had to get back.
Helicopter shot.
Yeah, so that Joel could bring on the hookers and blow. And
yeah.
Joel Silver's career is so impressive, it's crazy. That guy did everything from Ford Fairlane to The Matrix. And it's one of those situations of people where, Joel Silver had a bad name for a very long time. It kind of reminded me of like Jerry Bruckheimer. People thought that guy was evil because he produced the Transformers.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he did other great films.
He did.
Like Gone in 60 Seconds is a Bruckheimer film.
Did a lot of movies. Yeah.
It's a great movie. No plot. Gone in 60 Seconds. Absolutely no story.
But you knew what you were getting when you saw a
fantastic film.
And those films were extremely profitable overseas. You don't need to know American culture or even English to watch some of those things. So they had a tremendous life. And so I think a lot of times, as much as we want to shit on some of these movies, and we see them like, God, who is this audience? And you realize, no, the audience is much, much bigger than our local Cineplex.
That is an excellent
point. So
when
you think about it from a business standpoint, I think we're kind of thinking small with some of these genuinely terrible American movies, but they are good investments sometimes.
That's an excellent point. I think we should close with you on that.
Yeah.
Warren, you got any last words about Ford Fairlane?
I mean, it still hasn't aged well, but it's still a good time to me. It gives me a lot of memories of being in high school, and I'll watch it another 100 times. So,
I think the next time if I ever do this film again, I'm going to bring in like 3 females. And
yeah, so we kind of talked about that a little bit. So my wife was not thrilled that I was doing a podcast on Ford Fairlane, or even that I was watching Ford Fairlane to prepare for a podcast. I think I was telling you before the show, I actually watched the Diceman Cometh special, but I watched it on YouTube on an incognito browser because I was worried about what ad tracking I would get and I would subject myself to if in 2025 I watched Andrew Dice Clay stand up. That kind of tells us how this is aged and how this type of humor would be looked at in today's day and age. So, yeah, I don't know if I'd be up for watching it with women. I kind of know how it would go and how it should go. Really.
Right. Excellent. Well, thanks very much for watching this with me. I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out with Warren, Paul, and myself as we endured the adventures of Ford Fairlane. You can find the Super 70 podcast wherever you find podcasts, and most recently on YouTube. You can find me, my books, and my blog at www.thatdylandavis.com. I'm at @DylanDavis on Threads, Letterbxd, and Blue Sky. Warren is on Twitter, never gonna call it X, at Warren_Hayes. You can find Rosalind McPhail and her music on SoundCloud. I'm Dylan Davis, and we'll meet next time, probably at Pacific Tech.
having your own delivery service? Yeah, honey, look, my pants are dirty. Bring them to the cleaner. Same day. That's what they do. And then when they're good and they behave, you bring them out, give them a little wine, take them home, bang them. Next day, they're cleaning again. Don't you know that? There's a lot of work to be done here. It's like I saw this commercial a few nights ago. This chick, right, is scrubbing a toilet with Comet, you know, and she's wearing an apron, and she's on her knees. And I just got a chill right up my spine. I'm saying, it looks so right. I mean, guys shouldn't do that stuff. You know what I mean? That's what women do. That's what I think. And a few other guys here think the same thing. But they're alone, a bunch of guys, so they can laugh. You gotta sit and look at her like, that's terrible, please. She don't look right with a vacuum in one hand and a pan in the other, jiggling some eggs. That's what they're meant to be doing. They're egg jigglers. You know that. Come on. Come on, you come home. If you got people coming over and there's clothes all over the place, you pick it up or do you go, honey? Sweep. Sweep the apartment. I got people coming over. I mean, you let her get her hair done, her nails done. She goes, she buys clothes, she drives your fucking car, and you got to take the train to work. Right? Least she could do is be like a walking broom. You know, you clean up. It's nice. It's wholesome. It's all American. It's old-fashioned. It's the way it should be.